away to the airport for a little while. They don't leave at like 11 p.m. Then they got there like super early. You know, I mean, it was just like hell for them trying to get there.
It's a very Pac-12 thing where you're not chartered.
Exactly.
That's weird.
On what was the airline that they signed as like the conference's Allegiant. Like of all the, like back when they had Alaska Air, that was at least better. It's still a budget airline.
Allegiant to me is like,
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
How you doing? Hello, hey.
It's always weird because they have a line.
Sure.
And the hat. I mean, you're really just, it looks like you're ready to like go like compete in the battle guy.
I'm on point today. If it's free, it's me. Okay, first of all, big shout out to our fan base for the game Saturday night. Incredible atmosphere. Just the place was, the environment was as good as it's ever been. And really appreciate our fans for coming out and supporting our guys. And hope they enjoyed the game. And it was really something that we'd like to continue to repeat over and over, having that same environment in Rice Eccles. To start out, I want to shout out to Devin Lloyd as well. He's been named a finalist for the Buckus Award, and I'm not sure how much longer. When does that award get finalized and named?
It'll be named either on or before December 7th.
Okay, so the next couple of weeks it'll be coming down to the wire. So we're proud of Devin and what he's done for us here at Utah. He's having a terrific year, and definitely just one of the top linebackers in the country and deserving of being a finalist for the Butkus Award. So thought our guys played really well Saturday night, all three phases. The real objective defensively was to take away the run, and I think our guys did that without question, held them to 60 and some odd yards, and really played sound defensive front football and gap control. Thought that some of the biggest key situations of the game or stretches of the game, number one, when we took over with about 2:05 left on the clock, end of the first half, and put together another outstanding 2-minute drive and scored to go up 21-0. Very similar to what we did last week against Arizona. And so that was a key drive to put us up 21-0. After the ensuing kickoff, we get a 3-and-out and are able to have the second, probably the biggest play of the game, and the second critical element of the game was Covey's punt return. That really was a huge momentum builder going into halftime. And so if you had to pinpoint one play in the entire game that was the key, it would have been that one. And then the final situation was we came out in the second half, didn't have a very good opening drive with our defense. They went down and scored, but our offense promptly went right down the field and answered to go up 35-7, and it was pretty much over at that point. So again, proud of our guys' offense for I don't know how many weeks in a row it's been now. It sounds like a broken record where they've been outstanding. Only had 8 possessions. We didn't pile up the yardage. I think we had 386-ish, right in that range. And but on 8 possessions, that's pretty good production, and 38 points on 8 possessions is really good. So with the games they're trying to shorten the games and get the clock moving quicker and all that, the possessions are down. I mean, you don't have as many possessions as you used to. I remember 20 years ago you'd have 14, 15 possessions in a game, and just don't have that anymore. So it's a little bit different in that respect. But our offense did make the most of the possessions they got. Special teams, other than the Covey punt return, were solid. We only punted twice, did a nice job in those situations. Kickoff coverage was solid. Had a couple kickoff returns. We haven't had many opportunities in that this year, but did some good things on those returns, and made all our PATs, made our field goal. So overall, a very positive night. And now we move on to Colorado. It's all about the seniors this week, seniors and the juniors that are planning on moving on. And so we want to send those guys out the right way. And it's important that we take first things first and don't get ahead of ourselves. Regardless of the circumstances of the situation, we can't sit here and worry about who we might or might not play in a couple weeks. That's not the point of emphasis and the focus. The focus is Colorado Buffaloes. They're playing good football. They beat Washington the other day, and so we've got to turn all our attention, all our focus, all our efforts to the Colorado Buffs, which we will. So questions?
Kyle, you mentioned the senior day, obviously, but if I understand it correctly, you have 10 seniors listed, obviously have a bunch of juniors. Do you have a good understanding of how many at this point will be honored on Saturday?
Yeah, we'll probably have about 15 to 17 guys walk, I guess you could call it, come out for the senior introduction. Now, that doesn't mean that every single one of those guys that's a junior is definitively making a decision to move on. It's, we could very well have some guys that go through that ceremony that decide to come back, which we'd welcome them. And so it's better to err on that side than to not have them walk, and then if they leave, not to recognize them. And so I would guess 15, 16, 17 guys will make that walk. And as you mentioned, 10 of them or so are true seniors, if that is a thing anymore, and don't have any more eligibility.
Is Covey one of the guys that will walk on?
We're not going to, in case they change their mind between now and then, I just don't want to, just screw things up with that. So there's a lot, and some of them are still deciding. It's not 100% set now which ones are going to walk and which aren't, but that's just a ballpark guess.
Kyle, talking about the you've had off on this team over the last 2 years, I mean, it really hasn't changed as far as the leadership.
Mm-hmm.
But for what these guys had to go through over the last year, and then seeing them come in as brand new to the college scene, how has their development been, and them obviously being really good leaders the last 2 years?
Well, we've had outstanding leadership, and we've needed it. We've been through, as we all know, some absolutely horrific events, and the leaders have stepped up and couldn't be more proud of how they've handled things and how they've kept things together. And it's and that's the mark of a really good football team, has really good leadership. And right now we're playing pretty good football, and I attribute a great deal of that to the leaders on the football team.
Kyle, you've obviously been spoiled in your playoff hopes in 2019. You spoiled Oregon. What does the conference have to do to kind of be back in that playoff discussion? I mean, what do you feel is the best course for you guys?
Well, the Pac-12, we've said it for a lot of years in a row now, is very competitive, very balanced. Nobody has seemed to be able to have that, nobody has had that breakout year where you go through the league unblemished and through the season undefeated, and that's pretty much what it takes with the four-team format. And so we just have been beating each other up a little bit, and I think when they do eventually make the move, I don't even know when that's scheduled to happen. I guess I should know, but soon they're going to expand, and think that will make things a better situation for everybody, not just us, but for the entire country.
Kyle, just to follow up on what Josh said. You've said in the past that you're in favor of a 12-team format. As things move along here, are you still in favor of 12, if not more? Even more.
16 I think would be ideal, but 12 is a big step in the right direction, and I think 16 would be the ultimate, but it's not going to go there right away, from what I understand.
What do you make of the Buffs with their, they had a really good year last year. You guys went over to their place and beat them, but it seems like they've had a little bit of a down year, even though coming off of a win against Washington.
Yeah, they've got four wins this year. The Huskies, Oregon State, Arizona, and was it Northern Colorado, I believe, was their fourth win. And so, they've had some ups and downs this season, as we all have, but they're well coached. They got some good players. And like I said, they're coming off a win against Washington, which gives them momentum, a lot like when we played Arizona a couple weeks ago, and they had coming off a win and were really juiced up for the game and ready to go. Expect that same thing from the Buffaloes.
They have a pretty good linebacker in Landman.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a guy you've got to keep your eye on at all times?
Yeah, terrific player. I guess he's been dinged up a little bit. Hasn't played much as of late. But I've been watching him for a lot of years now. He's really good. he's really good. I don't think he played at all in the Washington game, did he? I haven't really gotten to their defense yet,
I
but,
don't think so.
yeah. He was in for the victory formation. Sorry, DJ. Go ahead. But that, just kidding.
Does your defensive line hit a whole new level, holding Oregon to 63 yards rushing, considering what happened earlier against Oregon State, BYU, San Diego State?
I would say relative to that, yes. You know, are we a finished product yet? Where we need to be? No. We're still not quite as big and strong as we need to be. We got some freshman kids that next year are going to be 10, 15, maybe 20 pounds heavier, stronger, and I think that's really going to be a boost for us. But relative to some of the struggles that we had earlier in the season, we're playing much, much better football right now up front. And as you saw in the game, we started 3 freshmen, Aliki Vimahi at tackle, Junior Tafunu at tackle, and Van Fillinger out at end. And so those guys just seem to be getting better and better as the weeks go by. And again, we got work to do, and we're the future, I think, is very bright at that position. But right now, we've made a lot of progress from game 1 to where we are now, but we need to continue taking steps forward.
Is that, with that position, it's always been a really big topic where you guys have always been strong at that position on the D-line. And, you know, normally you're bringing in and having to have these guys progress and develop.
Right.
Is that still the case, or is it more just high-end talent where you guys just have to sharpen some things?
Well, you know, we had Vianney, who was our headliner at D-tackle, get injured and was out for the season. And so that forced our hand a little bit to play more freshmen. And in the long run, it's going to be a positive. I think that Coach Puha, Sione Puha, our defensive tackle coach, has done a great job with those interior guys. As I said, they seem to be getting better and better fundamentally and technique-wise every week. And Coach Powell, the same thing with Van. Does that answer your question? I don't know. Was that okay? Yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought there for a second.
With high school football getting done now, we see recruits playing other sports like basketball or getting into wrestling or things like that. What's your philosophy on these kids playing other sports? Would you prefer them to stick to football? Or do you like to see them play other sports?
Love to see them play other sports. Absolutely love it. That's a plus in recruiting. That's one of the first questions we ask. What other sports do you play? And it's I wouldn't say it's a red flag, but when you hear a guy just plays football, the first thing you ask is why? You know, why do you not play other sports? And so I'm a big proponent of that. I think as a high school player, you should play everything you possibly can. I know there's a lot of guys who will disagree and parents who will disagree, but I think if you're truly a great athlete, then you should be a multi-sport guy. And like I said, we put a premium on that in recruiting, and that's on the positive side of the ledger when we're making our evaluations.
This obviously isn't the first time doing this, but you've got one game left, then you have the championship game. What does that go into with recruiting, knowing that a lot of teams may have that whole week to kind of shore up their thing before early signing day? Where are you guys at, and how do you feel about that?
Well, it's definitely worth the trade-off. Being in the championship game absolutely outweighs losing some time in recruiting. The best thing you can do for recruiting is win, and and the exposure and playing in that game is a big positive. Yes, we're going to miss out on 4 or 5 days of evaluations and contacts, but well worth the trade-off, and we have we'll take that scenario every single year.
Is recruiting more elusive and ever-changing than ever before because coaches are getting fired in season, which would encourage kids to reopen recruitment? So do you see kids cycling in and out of commitments?
Absolutely, and you combine that with the portal, which, by the way, I think is going to go crazy this year. I think the portal is going to be its most active ever this offseason. You're already seeing it really heat up, and so I think between what you just mentioned, as well as the ability to move and go without any penalty, it's going to be it continues to change and evolve, and it will continue to change and evolve down the road. And you got to make sure, in our opinion, that you save X amount of scholarships, hold them back for portal kids, and because oftentimes they don't, they're not in until late in the game, and so you got to be able to have some scholarships in your pocket to accommodate that.
With the portal and holding up the scholarships, how does that change this year, just with the number of initial counters for this year going from 25 to 30?
Yeah, that's a big help, and I think it was a great move by the NC2A to do that. And it's still, you still got to balance it. I mean, there's no doubt that the basis of our recruiting and the place where we recruit the most is the high school athlete. I mean, that's not going to change. Don't see that changing. But now it's been supplemented by the portal, and I think that what level has really suffered is the junior college recruiting. I think there's far less opportunities for junior college players because teams seem to be either going the high school route or going the high school route and then combining that and supplementing that with portal guys, with transfer guys, rather than the JC guys. JC guys used to fill that bill, but now it's shifted.
Does that make the fact that Tavion found his way to you kind of more remarkable, just
Yep.
the whole landscape?
It does, because if you look historically, going back 25 years, we always had 6, 8, 10 JC guys pretty much in every class. And now that number has shrunk to 1, 2, or 3. So,
Now, following up on that, with recruiting, obviously you can't, like you've mentioned, just go all in on transfer portal. You
Right.
gotta have that high school development. But do you feel like you have a good balance, or do you have a specific number that you're looking for each year when you're trying to go through the transfer portal?
not really a specific number. It just depends on the specific needs for that year. And also, the reason you keep some of those scholarships in your pocket is because the needs are not manifest yet. You know, you have 2 or 3 guys transfer out from a certain position group. That can be very damaging. You better have something in your pocket to be able to get that situation rectified.
What do you make of Dan Mullen getting fired at Fort? I know
Yeah, tough news. I really like Dan. Obviously we were here together back when Urban was here. Outstanding football coach, but it just illustrates the mentality and the nature of the beast. In this day and age, and with the money that's being made and the instant gratification and people wanting results now, that's how it is. If you don't like it, you don't have the stomach for it, get out of the profession, because it's not going to change, in my opinion.
Coach, with the way you guys have played over the last month, is recruiting momentum like a real thing? Have you guys noticed more interest and momentum in terms
Yeah, I would say yes, and we hope to get some more commitments here down the stretch. And I think it's directly tied, or at least somewhat tied, to the success we've had the last 6, 7 weeks of the season.
The success you've had with your offensive line, is that because you have been able to kind of get it set, or is that because guys are just learning, improving, and getting better?
Both. Took us a minute to get things situated. We lost Jaron Kump for the season, and we had to shuffle the deck a few times. But then we had guys getting better and stepping up and improving their play. And it's a credit to them and to Coach Harding for getting that done. And they also, were getting picked on a little bit. I shouldn't say picked on, but a little bit maligned early in the season, and kind of challenged them, and they responded.
Coach, now that you've had a Sunday to reflect on it, I know the walking line is credit to the assistants and players and whatnot, understandably so, but what does 142 wins mean to Kyle Whittingham?
Well, it's been a long journey and a long grind, I guess you could say, although I loved every minute of it. But I really don't have a different stance or a different take. I mean, it's again, I just feel grateful that I could be at one place and have the opportunity to build so many relationships and have so many outstanding players come through and coaches. So I guess I'm not saying anything different than I've said the last couple of weeks, but truly feel very blessed. That's kind of the bottom line.
How cool was it to see Tyler Huntley make his first NFL start?
Awesome, and to see him win the game and those 2 late touchdown drives. I texted him today and told him how proud we are of him, and he's one of the most competitive, toughest kids that's ever come through here, and it doesn't surprise me the success he's having, because he was driven. He's absolutely he's a football junkie and just loves everything about the game, and every minute of every day, he's doing something to make himself better. So proud of Tyler. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I didn't cough one time.